Good morning, everybody. It's that time of day again for the daily review. So let's see what's going on in Arena today. Now, luckily, I did not finish this 25 land, so I can cash that in, try and get a 750. If you get another 500, I don't see it as a big deal because I'll get 20 green spells or blue spells, no problem. So it's not a big deal. Like, you know, it's always worth it for the chance. Okay, so there is Premier Draft and Quick Draft. These are always great to play. Let's check out this workshop. So we are many. This might sound mad, but I removed the maximum count restriction here. Use them wisely, as this will certainly require... Oh, okay, so I think this means that you can have more than one of anything in the deck. So let's go take a look. So, best friends. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So this is like the four of rule doesn't apply, so you can have more of anything. So basically, this is probably really brutal, right? Because you can just attack with these things, and then you're almost certain to get this call of the Death Dwellers, and then bring them back, and then that basically, yeah, and using this, you're gonna draw. This would actually be a really brutal deck. Um, that's probably the one I'll end up playing. What's this one? Inventory management. So just drawing all the cards and then, oh yeah, and put down Ominous Seas and then just draw all your cards and get this 8/8 Kraken. That also could be really brutal too. It'll be interesting to see. And the thing is with Volcanic Salvo, which you'll almost certainly have, you'll be able to cast that and destroy the 5/5 demons that your opponent is making. Oh man, these could go either way. I'd say this looks like a really fun event actually. Machinations. So 13 Steel Overseers. Oh, this one, I don't know how this one would work. Mainly because you just have so many. The other decks have like such big threats, but I guess they don't have trample. So I mean, you could actually just maybe get these out, and then do you have a way to draw cards here? Yeah, I guess with the Great Henge you can draw cards, and and it's legendary, so you can't have more than one, but that's still okay. Um, yeah, I don't know. These actually all look good. This one looks freaking crazy. Um, so just a whole bunch of Flourishing Foxes. This one I think surprisingly is probably, I would guess, would be the weakest one, right? I would think. Um, yeah, just I think overall like the other ones are going to be too powerful. So, okay, interesting. I would say Inventory Management or Best Friends would probably be the best to play if you're only going to play one, or Machinations might be a pretty good one as well. But yeah, that's super exciting. I think that and given that it's free and you can get a Haversack of Favor, that, just so you know, gives you like 500 gold or I think 500 experience or 50 gems or something like that. So it's like a randomly determined prize. Okay, so let's go check out the store. Ruined Halo. I really like this card, but it's totally not worth it. Like to buy any card styles. Yeah, so 500 even. I'm not buying card styles. Meddling Mages. Actually, all of these cards are actually really good cards. But Meddling Mage is totally brutal. I bought this one as super cheap, and now it's like super expensive. But okay, yeah, don't buy any of these. These are total waste of money, so don't do that. All right, let's go to the packs. Okay, let's open up this pack here. What do we get? More towards the getting another rare wild card. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And Gadrak, the Crown Scourge. So it's a 3 mana 5/4. Can't attack unless you control 4 or more artifacts. Yeah, and then create a treasure token for each non-token creature that died this turn. I think it could be okay, but really it's very niche, and yes, you get a flying 5/4 for 3, but you also have to keep him on the board, right? And if your opponent might not, like, you might not be able to do anything. This would go well if you had like a Smothering Tithe or something like that to go with it. So yeah, that could go well, especially in like a commander game or something like that. If you had this with Smothering Tithe, right? Then then you're making charges like crazy, right? So all right. Anyways, let's see. Okay, I did also want to go through this, which is the July 13th, 2020 banned and restricted announcement, which came out yesterday, and I just didn't have a chance to really talk about. So, we have a number of different cards that are banned and I think most of them are pretty good, like pretty good choices. Okay, so Agent of Treachery. Now, Agent of Treachery would not be so bad if there was no way to ramp into it or cheat it out of the graveyard, but the thing is, like, they just made so many other cards that helped you to cheat this card out, and banning all those other cards would just like really wreck other formats. I think the Wizards problem, and this is a problem, like, probably no one from Wizards watches my channel, but here's the thing: free casting is stupid. Okay, like, Wizards Magic was designed so that the casting cost of cards reflected its power. So when you get cards for free, right, then basically, like, you're not having to pay its mana cost. Then it makes it so that the card is just totally unbalanced, right? And it's no wonder that, like, almost, if you look at this list, almost every one of them has to do with something about like free casting, right, or eliminating variants. Okay, so let's take a look at this Agent of Treachery. Basically, you get to take control of your opponent's permanents, and then you don't even have to give it back. It's not even just till end of turn. And then if you control 3 or more permanents, you draw 3 cards, right? So that is actually pretty crazy. But even, okay, so 7 mana. How many of these could you really cast, right? Well, the fact that you can like cheat it out of your graveyard or search for it with Winota on turn 3 or 4, right? That's ridiculous. It's like so brutal. So I would say, like, this deck, like this card, it's not broken on its own, but it's because of all the other cards that enable it to make it broken. Anyways, then we got Winota, Join Our Forces. This card is just stupid as well. Now, I actually enjoyed playing it because it let me ramp into like the mythic level like really fast, because I was an early adopter of it, and no one else was playing it, and no one knew how to really respond to it right away. But basically, again, okay, let's see. So every non-human creature. So, like, let's say on turn 2, I get 2 white soldier tokens. Turn 3, also 2 white soldier tokens. And then turn 4, I get Winota and attack. Now, here's the thing. Winota doesn't even need to attack either. She just has to be on the board. That's a problem, right? Because, like, you can put her down on turn 4, and your opponent can't really do anything, about it, unless they remove her in between the time that you played her and the attack step. So basically, they don't even have a whole turn to deal with it, right? Now, if you said that she had to attack, that would be different, right? But even still, like, okay, if I had those 4 tokens, right, that would mean that I could, or let's say even like 4 goblins or something like that, right? Then I get to dig 24 cards deep, 24 cards deep, and put 4 humans onto the battlefield, which is essentially free casting. But not only that, they're already attacking, so they don't have summoning sickness, and you get their ETB triggers, and they're indestructible. So, I mean, come on. Like, this card, and that's for 4 mana. Like, that is just way, way too powerful, right? So I could see why she would be banned, right? I just don't think that, you should, like, that's just too much. And again, it comes down to free casting. Digging 24 cards down, selecting, like, 4 cards that you specifically want, right? And then putting them onto the battlefield to get indestructible, right? Like, let's say you got 4 Agents of Treachery out of that, okay? Now, it's unlikely that you would get all 4 Agents of Treachery, but, so each Agent of Treachery is 7 mana. So on turn 4, you can attack with your 4 tokens and put down 28 mana worth of creatures that are indestructible, and then steal all your opponent's stuff, right? I mean, like, that's just ridiculous. So I think that overall, Winota had to be banned. The problem is that she will only get worse, all right? So what you have to look at when you're evaluating cards is, what does the card do better than any other card? All right. So, for instance, there's a card. I forget exactly what it is, but it's something to nowhere or something like that, where basically it allows you to discard your hand. Right. It's like 2 mana. And it just says discard your hand or something like that. Now, that's the best card at making you discard your hand. Now, right now, there's no need for that. But if you want to take a gamble, buying that card is actually a really good investment, because right now it's super cheap. But if something ever happens where you make a deck where you have to discard your hand, right, then that card will suddenly jump in value and become super valuable. All right, it's the same thing with Path to Exile. Right, Path to Exile is the best 1 mana white removal, but there's a lot of 2 mana white removal, or there's, I think, like Journey to Nowhere, for instance, is a great white removal as well, right? Or Condemn, I believe it's called. Those ones are great white removals as well, you know, but they're just not as good, right? So if you look at it though, like those cards can only get better, right, with things that are actually like getting released, right? Same thing with Winota. So as they make more humans, right, and more token generators and stuff like that, especially if they're pushing power levels, Winota can only actually get better and more valuable like over time. So this card was like just stupid broken. Okay, anyways, Fire's Invention. Of course, it's again free casting. Yes, okay, so it puts some limitations, but basically what you do is like the intention is this: you have a lot of things with activated abilities, and so you leave your mana open for activated abilities, and then you also double up your mana. So again, it's free casting, right? You don't have to pay the mana cost on 2 things, and then you can activate abilities to control your opponent, right, during their turn. So I mean, once again, this is like total free casting as well. What it should do is like cause damage to you or something like that every time you cast a spell for free. So like you could say that, okay, so you can only cast 2 turns on your spell, but on your turn, but the second spell does damage to you equal to its converted mana cost, right? Okay, that would make this way more fair, right? But again, Fire Invention is totally broken because again, it's free casting. Now these were all on the suspended list, which is basically like a timeout. Basically it is like Wizards just said, okay, we're not going to ban it, we're going to take it out for now and just see how things go. And the reason why they do this is just on Arena, is because, well, I think it's easier to do on Arena, but also I think because they don't, when they ban a card, they actually have to give you wild cards to replace your collection, because you basically spent wild cards, or could have spent wild cards on them, and now you can't play them, and so they basically replace them with wild cards, right? So that's why they just put them on suspended. And you know, a lot of people worry they're going to put cards on suspended list and just never ban them, but I don't think they did that, and that's good on them that they actually did ban them. So that means that when these get banned, whenever the effective date is on July 16th, that you will actually get, like, so I have a 4 of Agent of Treachery, 4 of Winota. I'm not sure if I have a 4 of Fire's Invention, but if I do, I will go and actually, let's go check. Okay, so let's just jump into a deck here and look up for Fires. Red. Yeah, I do have a 4 of Fire's Invention. So for sure, I also have Agent of Treachery. Oh, that's weird. Agent of... Oh, it's probably because it's only in standard. Let's go standard, historic. So, nope, not standard. Just okay. Stand historic. Okay, let's go look. Agent of... Oh, I guess I'm... Oh, because I don't have blue. Okay, yeah, I've got a 4 of Agent of Treachery, and for sure I have 4 of Winota. Yeah. Okay, so anyways, let's go back here. Okay, so on Friday, or is that July 16th? So on July 16th, when they banned this, I will end up getting 12 rare wildcards. So technically there's, you know, and don't quote me on this because there's never knowing what Wizards will do, but if you have wildcards, you should actually go and get these cards because they're still available. Like, you can still play them in Brawl and stuff like that. You'll be out the wildcards for a few days, but then when they ban them, you'll get the wildcards back. But you'll still get to keep the card. So it's definitely worth it to spend the wildcards to get these. But if you do that and Wizards doesn't end up giving you wildcards back, don't blame me because, you know, Wizards can be stupid like that. So in the past though, they've given them back, and if I didn't have 4 of these, I would already go and get them. Okay, Nexus of Fate, also banned. Nexus of Fate has been problematic for pretty much forever, right? And the reason why, okay, is because, okay, so 7 mana, you get to take an extra turn. That's actually pretty common. But the problem is that if it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, you reveal it and then you shuffle it back into its owner's library. So basically, you can cast it again. It's like an endless thing, right? There's another problem with it too. 2 other problems actually. Is at first, when Nexus of Fate first came out, it was the buy a box promo, right? And it wasn't actually available in the packs. I still think it's not available in the pack. So meaning like if you wanted a playset, you had to actually buy 4 boxes, right? Or try and find it on the secondary market. But at the time, they were so valuable, like no one was even selling them. It was hard to find them, right? And then the other thing is they were only available in foil. And so, like, when people are playing in their decks, the foil was curled so badly that you could easily see where the Nexus of Fate was in their deck. And so I believe it was at a, like, whatever Magic Fest or Pro Tour or whatever it was at the time, that they actually had to get proxies of these out in order to, so people could actually play them without having, like, them revealed. And you couldn't not, like, you couldn't just take the non-foil version because there was no non-foil version. It was all foils. So yeah, Wizards kind of really messed up on this one. I mean, you got to make the cards available, and then, so first of all, you got to make the cards available. Then if you make it all foil and the foil's like curling super bad, then you can't play it because it's, you can see where it is in your library. And then on top of that, the card is broken on its own. So I mean, like, everyone just went and used it to get like infinite turns. So I can see definitely why they would ban it. Okay, Burning Tree Emissary. This one's interesting, but again, it's free casting. So basically, when it enters the battlefield, you spend like a red or green. I guess you could go red, red, or green, green, but then you just get your red and green back, right? So essentially, you can get this for free. It's basically a free 2/2 on the battlefield. So I think, you know, it's not the worst card, but the thing is, again, it's one of those cards that once again just gets better with time, okay? Because it's also a shaman. And so if your deck cares about shaman, and that's one thing, it's also a creature, that's another thing, right? So I mean, like, like, basically it's just a free thing that you can cast and get extra bodies onto the field. So Wizards, you need to stop making free casting. Stop with free casting. All right. Okay, so Pioneer, they unbanned something. So Oath of Nissa. Oath of Nissa is a 1 mana enchantment. When Oath of Nissa enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature, land, or planeswalker card from among them, put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast planeswalker spells. Okay, if they just had just the top part, that I think Oath of Nissa would be fine. What makes it super powerful is that you can spend mana of any color to cast planeswalker spells. And so again, remember what I said at the beginning here, is that a lot of their problems has to do with getting around the mana cost or getting around balancing effects. All right. So like basically, like, okay, when you're, for those of you guys that don't know, when you're building Magic, every card has, every color has its strengths and weaknesses. So for instance, black has really great creature removal, but has virtually no enchantment removal. The only card with any enchantment removal at all is Pharika's Libation, right? And so then the problem is that, like, so if you take just straight up black and your opponent plays a lot of enchantments, you don't have any way to deal with it. All right. Now, blue and white have ways of dealing with enchantments, and green as well, right? So what it means is that you want to play more than one color. Okay, if you're playing one color, it's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and so then it's easy to fix your mana, right? Because, like, let's say I play mono red, right? All I need is mountains, and I'm going to get mountains, right? But the problem is now I'm playing mono red, and I'm just susceptible to getting destroyed very easily if the opponent has the right deck. So what you can do is support your deck by adding other colors to it. But as you add more and more colors, you make it harder and harder to fix your mana, right? And so this card allows you to basically use mana as if it were mana of any color, which makes it really, so you're not actually trying to fix your mana anymore, especially for planeswalkers. So this is almost a must include for any Super Friends deck, which is a deck basically of just all planeswalkers. Right? I can see maybe in Pioneer, like, they're thinking it's not overly broken, but I would like to keep an eye on this just to make sure that, you know, that it's not too bad. Now, especially in Pioneer, because Pioneer includes War of the Spark, where they have a lot of those 3 mana planeswalkers, right? And that could actually get to be really broken really fast. All right, let's move on. Arkham's Astrolabe, banned in Modern. Okay, I could see this too. It costs 1 snow mana. Now, that's one of the problems is that when you have something cost 1 generic mana, right? Um, this is the same problem with Mental Misstep, is that when you basically get something that has a pretty powerful effect, and it can be put in any deck, then it becomes almost a must include in every deck. Alright, so when Arcum's Astrolimb enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So okay, already for 1 mana to draw a card, basically this means that you can thin your deck by 4 cards. So if I just include this for 1 mana, I can thin my deck and get my, and in Modern that's actually pretty important. Alright, but then you can pay 1, tap this, and add 1 mana of any color. So again, it basically fixes your mana, which is what I just talked about with Oath of Nissa. Right? Now, the problem is that you have snow, it requires a snow land. And I think that's one of the real issues with this, is that it makes it so that everyone has to play snow lands, right? And yeah, you can get snow lands, but if I'm playing mono red, right, I technically only need mountains, but now I have to play snow-covered mountains, right? Because I want to play Arcum's Astrolabe, and if I'm playing swamps, then I need snow-covered swamps, right? And so, I mean, it's kind of stupid, and the problem is, again, when you have cards like this, it makes it so that like everybody who's playing has to include it, because it just makes things like 1 mana, draw a card. Like, okay, it just helps you dig into your library for stuff you actually need, right? Especially if you have flicker effects, man, this could just be brutal. So I can see why they would take this out. Like for sure, like 100%, I would put this in like a Lantern control deck, for instance, and for 1 mana you can just dig and find another thing that you need, right? So, okay, Expedition Map. Basically, Expedition Map is a 1 mana artifact, and then for 2 mana you can sacrifice it and search your library for any land you want, reveal it, and put it into your hand. And so, what this was is it's enabling Tron. Right, that's basically where this is played. For those of you guys that don't know, there are 3 cards called the Tron Lands. I'm actually not sure why they're called Tron Lands. If you do know, then put it into the comments. But basically there's Urza's Mine, Urza's Power Plant, and Urza's Tower. There's 3 different ones. And individually, they only tap for 1 colorless mana each. But if you have all 3, then the Mine and the Power Plant tap for 2 each, and the tower taps for 3. So if you have all 3, you can tap all 3 and get 7 generic mana. And so typically in a Tron deck, what they'll do is let's say I start off and I've got a tower and a mine, right? So what I do is I play the mine on turn 1, and then get down Expedition Map. Turn 2, I get down the tower, and then on my opponent's end step, I crack the tower, or I crack the Expedition Map, and then look for the Power Plant, or whatever Tron piece is missing. And so it makes it so that like getting all 3 Tron lands, I mean, usually people refer to that as just getting Tron. Like, so getting Tron online, I mean, like, is way more reliable, right? And so they're basically taking away the reliability of it, of getting this off, right? So I mean, this is again a really brutal thing to do here, where you can expedition Map, and I guess in Pauper, having 7 mana on turn 3, right, even if it is just colorless, is really, really brutal, right? So I mean, like in any format really, like you can get down a lot of things for 7 mana. So anyways, that's why Expedition Map is banned. Alright, and I agree. I think overall, things that help you like get rid of the variance problem, like get around the stats, the statistics of things, like it just destroys the balance of the game. So, okay, and then Mystic Sanctuary. So this one's just a common, but enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. So it really lends itself to a mono blue format. Okay, now just so you guys know, blue is a very strong color in Pauper. Alright, so when Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So essentially it's kind of like a Snapcaster Mage. Kind of. Not exactly, but basically you can cast something, and then when you play Mystic Sanctuary, you just get it back, and it makes your graveyard into a toolbox, which I think is, not the worst. It's not, but I think this is overall. I don't know exactly what deck it went in Pauper, but yeah, I can see why this would be a problem, especially because in Pauper you have to really control the power levels of things, because it's Pauper. right? So like things don't have huge, super huge power levels. So anyways, I would say Mystic Sanctuary probably does deserve to be banned, and really it's just a common. I don't think it's that big of a deal, right? So to ban it, it's not like people are losing money left, right, and center over it. All right, but then there's a blah blah blah, super long explanation of everything. You can go and read it as you will. Right now, I think they're saying that growth spiral ramp decks are a problem. They're going to try and keep their eye on it. Okay, yeah, I could probably list like 20 cards that deserve to be banned in standard that are just too powerful. But right now, in standard, like there is a fairly good balance between the broken decks, but I mean, in a way, it's almost not really that fun, just because there's just so many, yeah, just because there's just so many like broken decks. I don't know. I think overall, I like to play for balance more than power, right? So, anyways, let me know what you think. Do you prefer balance or do you prefer power? Okay, so that is it for today. It's a kind of a long one, but thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm almost at 500 subscribers, and please share the video if you can. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.